The crowded marketplace of Nexus Prime buzzed with 1,000 different voices. Alien merchants hawked their wares, while travelers from across the galaxy searched for supplies and passage to distant worlds. Among the chaos, a small figure moved like a shadow between the stalls. Naya pressed her child closer to her chest, feeling his tiny ribs through the thin fabric of his clothes. Little Zeph had not eaten a proper meal in 3 days, and his golden skin had grown pale with hunger. Her own stomach cramped painfully, but she ignored it. Her child came first, always. The Kalari woman paused before a food vendor's stall, her large violet eyes fixed on the steaming bowls of nutritious stew. The aroma made her dizzy with longing. She had searched for work all morning, but no one wanted to hire a widow with a sick child. The credits in her pocket would barely buy passage off the station, let alone food. "Mama, I'm so hungry," Zeph whispered against her neck, his voice barely audible over the marketplace noise. His small hands clutched weakly at her worn shawl. Naya's heart shattered. She looked around desperately, then made a choice that went against everything she had been taught. Her trembling fingers reached toward a loaf of bread while the vendor was distracted with another customer. "Thief." The vendor's angry shout cut through the air like a blade. "Guards, this Kalari scum is stealing from me." 2 hulking security officers pushed through the crowd, their faces hard with authority. Naya tried to run, but her weakened legs betrayed her. Strong hands grabbed her arms. The bread tumbled to the dirty floor. "Please," she begged, as tears streamed down her cheeks. "My son is sick. He needs food. I can work. I can pay you back. Just please." "The law is clear," one guard growled. "Thieves face punishment. You'll spend the night in detention. Your spawn can learn what happens when Kalari don't know their place." The crowd gathered to watch the spectacle, some laughing at her desperation. Zeph began to cry, reaching for his mother as the guards prepared to drag her away. Naya felt her world crumbling. Wait, the voice was calm, but carried an authority that made everyone pause. The crowd parted as a tall human stepped forward. He had kind brown eyes and wore the practical clothes of a space trader. A worn leather jacket hung over his shoulders, and his boots showed the marks of many worlds. Marcus had been watching the scene unfold with growing disgust. He had seen enough suffering in his travels to recognize genuine desperation when he saw it. The Kalari woman wasn't a criminal, she was a mother trying to save her child. "How much for the bread?" he asked the vendor, pulling out a credit chip. "This isn't about payment anymore, human," the vendor snarled. "She broke the law. She must be punished as an example." Marcus stepped closer, his eyes never leaving the vendor's face. "She's a mother, feeding her hungry child. If that's a crime here, then maybe this station has bigger problems than one stolen loaf." The guards tightened their grip on Naya's arms. But Marcus had already transferred more credits than the bread was worth to the vendor's account. He picked up the fallen loaf, brushed off the dirt, and handed it directly to little Zeph. "Eat, little one," he said gently in perfect Kalari, surprising everyone present. "You're safe now." The unlikely alliance, the standoff, lasted several tense moments before the guards finally released Naya, muttering about foolish humans and their soft hearts. The crowd dispersed, disappointed that no blood had been shed. Marcus watched them go with disgust. "Thank you," Naya whispered, her voice thick with emotion. She had never experienced such kindness from a stranger, especially not from a human. Most of them barely acknowledged her species existed. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, crouching down to Zeph's eye level. The child was already tearing into the bread with desperate hunger. "I'm Naya of the Kalari Highland clans. This is my son Zeph." She studied the human's face, searching for hidden motives. "Why did you help us?" Marcus straightened, his expression thoughtful. "Because everyone deserves to eat. And because I've seen what desperation can drive good people to do." He gestured toward the busy spaceport beyond the marketplace. "My ship is docked in Bay 17. There's food there and medical supplies if the boy needs them." Naya hesitated. Trusting a stranger went against every survival instinct she had developed since her husband's death. But Zeph's labored breathing reminded her that she had few options left. "Why would you offer this to strangers?" she asked. Maybe because I understand what it's like to be alone in a hostile universe, Marcus replied softly. Come on. Let's get you both fed and see what we can do about finding you proper work. His small freight ship was clean but cramped, filled with the organized chaos of a trader's life. Star charts covered one wall while containers of goods bound for distant worlds filled the cargo hold. Marcus led them to a small galley and began preparing a simple but nutritious meal as they ate in comfortable silence. Naya found herself studying her benefactor. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and most she had encountered were either military personnel or wealthy tourists. Marcus seemed different. There was a gentleness in his movements when he helped Zeph eat, a sadness in his eyes that spoke of personal loss. Where are you traveling? She asked as Zeph finally fell asleep in her arms, his belly full for the first time in days. Nowhere in particular, Marcus admitted, cleaning the dishes with practiced efficiency. I trade between systems, go wherever the work takes me. It's a solitary life, but it suits me. Naya noticed the way his voice tightened when he mentioned being alone. There was a story there, she realized, pain that matched her own. My husband died in the crystal mines 6 months ago, she said quietly. The company refused to pay his death benefits. They said the accident was his fault for not following safety protocols. Her voice turned bitter. Kalari lives are cheap in the outer systems. Marcus stopped washing dishes, his hands gripping the edge of the small sink. I'm sorry for your loss. Losing someone you love? It changes everything. The weight in his words told Naya that he spoke from experience. Slowly, carefully, she began to share more of her story. How she had tried to make a life for herself and Zeph on various worlds. Always moving when the credits ran out or the prejudice became too much to bear. 3 days had passed since Marcus had taken them aboard his ship. Zeph's health had improved dramatically with proper food and medicine, and his laughter now filled the small vessel as he explored every corner with childlike wonder. Naya found herself relaxing for the first time in months. Mama, look. Zeph called out, pressing his small face against the viewing port. The stars are dancing. They were traveling through a nebula, and the colorful gases swirled around the ship like cosmic silk. Marcus emerged from the pilot's compartment, a smile tugging at his lips as he watched the child's excitement. Beautiful, isn't it? He said, moving to stand beside Naya at the viewport. This is the Serpent Nebula. I always take the long route through here when I can. Reminds me why I love space travel. Naya became acutely aware of his proximity, the warmth radiating from his body, the subtle scent of his cologne mixed with engine oil. When had she started noticing such things about him? Tell me about your home, she said, trying to distract herself from these unexpected feelings. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his eyes fixed on the swirling colors outside. Earth was beautiful. Green hills, blue oceans, cities that stretched to the sky. I had a family there once. A wife named Elena, and a daughter who would have been about Zeph's age now. Naya's breath caught. What happened to them? Plague outbreak on the outer colonies, he said simply, but she could hear the pain he tried to hide. Elena was a doctor. She volunteered to help when the first ships arrived with sick passengers. She caught it, passed it to our daughter before we even knew she was infected. Without thinking, Naya reached out and touched his hand. His fingers intertwined with hers, and she felt a spark of connection that went far beyond sympathy. That's why I travel, he continued. Can't bear to stay in one place too long. Reminds me too much of what I lost. And yet you stopped to help strangers, Naya observed. You could have walked away in the marketplace. Marcus turned to face her fully, his brown eyes intense. Maybe I saw something in you that reminded me of Elena. She never could walk past suffering without trying to help. The space between them seemed to shrink. Naya found herself lost in his gaze, feeling things she thought had died with her husband. Marcus lifted his free hand to gently touch her cheek, his thumb wiping away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. Naya, he whispered, and her name on his lips sent shivers down her spine. She leaned closer, drawn by a force she couldn't resist. Their lips met in a gentle kiss that spoke of shared grief and newfound hope. When they finally parted, both were breathing heavily. I haven't felt anything like this since. ... double quotes, she began. I know, Marcus murmured, resting his forehead against hers. Me neither. Zeph's sleepy voice broke the spell. Mama, is the nice man going to stay with us? Naya and Marcus looked at each other, both seeing the same longing reflected in the other's eyes. The connection between them was undeniable. But they were both carrying wounds that ran deep. We should talk about this, Marcus said softly. Figure out what this means. Naya nodded, though part of her wanted to abandon caution and lose herself in the warmth of his embrace. For tonight, it was enough to know that she was no longer alone in the universe. The hunter's pursuit the next morning brought unwelcome news. Marcus was checking the ship's communications when several priority messages flooded his inbox, all bearing the same ominous seal, that of the Titan Corporation, the massive conglomerate that controlled the crystal mining operations throughout this sector. Naya, he called out, his voice tight with concern. We have a problem. She appeared in the doorway with Zeph close behind, both of them looking refreshed after their first full night's sleep in weeks. The worry in Marcus's expression immediately put her on alert. What is it? She asked bounty notices. Titan Corporation has put out a substantial reward for your capture. They're claiming you stole valuable mining equipment when you left their employment. Naya's face went pale. That's impossible. I was just a worker's wife. I never had access to any equipment. Marcus studied the messages more carefully, his trader's instincts recognizing the signs of corporate manipulation. This isn't about stolen property. This is about making an example. They can't let it get out that they're refusing to pay death benefits to workers' families. Bad for business. The implications hit them both at the same time. Titan Corporation had vast resources and connections throughout the sector. If they wanted, Naya found. It was only a matter of time before bounty hunters picked up her trail. I have to leave, Naya said immediately. I won't put you and Zeph in danger because of me. No. Marcus's voice was firm. We're not separating. We'll figure this out together. Before Naya could argue, the ship's proximity alarms began blaring. Marcus rushed to the pilot's console, his heart sinking as he saw 3 sleek pursuit ships closing in on their position. They found us, he muttered, his hands flying over the controls as he prepared for evasive maneuvers. Strap in. This is going to be rough. Naya secured Zeph in the small passenger area before taking her position at the navigator's console. Her husband had taught her basic ship operations during their brief marriage, and she was determined to help however she could. Mama, I'm scared. Zeph whimpered as the ship began to shake under Marcus's aggressive piloting. It's going to be okay. Little Star, Naya called out, using her pet name for him. The captain is going to keep us safe. Marcus felt a surge of determination at her trust in him. The 3 pursuit ships were closing fast, but his cargo hauler had a few modifications that weren't listed in the official registry. He had learned long ago that a trader needed to be prepared for anything. Hold on, he warned, then triggered the ship's hidden boost engines. They shot forward with sudden acceleration that pressed everyone back into their seats. The nebula around them provided some cover, but the bounty hunters were persistent and well-equipped. Incoming transmission, Naya announced, her fingers steady on the controls despite the ship's violent movements. Put it through, Marcus ordered. A harsh voice filled the cabin. Freighter vessel, you are harboring a wanted fugitive. Surrender the Kalari female, and you will not be harmed. Marcus grabbed the communication device. Negative. The woman is under my protection. Suggest you find another target, Cruel laughter echoed through the speakers. Foolish human. Titan Corporation pays well for stubborn traders who interfere with business. Perhaps we'll collect bounties on both of you. The transmission cut off, and immediately the ship was rocked by weapons fire. Marcus cursed as he threw them into a spiraling dive toward the nebula's dense core. Can we outrun them? Naya asked. Marcus's jaw was set in grim determination. We're about to find out. The chase through the Serpent Nebula lasted 3 harrowing hours. Marcus pushed his ship to its limits, using every trick he had learned in his years of trading in dangerous sectors. The colorful gas clouds provided cover. but they also made navigation treacherous. There, Naya pointed to a sensor reading. Asteroid field at bearing 27, Mark 4. If we can reach it, the rocks will mask our signature, Marcus finished, already adjusting course. Brilliant. They dove into the asteroid field just as one of the pursuit ships managed to get a lock on them. Weapons fire lit up the space around them, but the massive rocks provided excellent cover. Marcus wove between the asteroids with practiced skill while Naya monitored their pursuers. "They're splitting up," she reported, "trying to box us in." Zeph had been remarkably brave throughout the ordeal, but now he began to cry softly. The stress and fear were finally overwhelming his young mind. "It's okay, little star," Naya called out. "We're almost safe." Marcus made a decision that would have seemed insane to any sane pilot. He aimed directly for the largest asteroid in the field, one that showed signs of old mining activity. "What are you doing?" Naya asked. "Trust me," he replied, bringing them closer to the rocky surface, at the last possible moment. He spotted what he had been hoping for, an abandoned mining tunnel large enough for their ship. He killed the engines and let momentum carry them into the tunnel just as the bounty hunters rounded the asteroid. They sat in complete darkness and silence for what felt like hours. Marcus monitored the passive sensors while Naya held Zeph close, both of them hardly daring to breathe. Finally, the sensors showed the pursuit ships moving away. Apparently convinced their quarry had escaped into open space, "They're gone," Marcus whispered. In the darkness of the tunnel, Naya found his hand and squeezed it gratefully. "You saved us. You risked everything for strangers?" "Not strangers," Marcus corrected. "Family." The word hung between them, heavy with meaning. When the ship's emergency lighting finally came on, they could see the truth in each other's eyes. Marcus leaned across the space between their seats and kissed her deeply, pouring all his feelings into the contact. Naya responded with equal passion, her arms wrapping around his neck as she finally admitted to herself what her heart had known for days. "I love you," she whispered against his lips. "And I love you," he replied. "Both of you. We're going to make this work, Naya. We're going to build something beautiful together." When they finally emerged from the asteroid field, it was as a family. Marcus had already begun making plans, new identities, a fresh start in a sector where Titan Corporation had no influence, and maybe eventually a chance to settle down somewhere and give Zeph a real home. "Where will we go?" Naya asked as she watched the stars streak past in hyperspace. "Anywhere you want," Marcus replied, reaching over to take her hand. "The galaxy is vast, and we have each other. That's all we need." Zeph had fallen asleep in his mother's lap, finally secure in the knowledge that he was safe and loved. As Naya stroked his hair, she thought about how much their lives had changed in just a few days. She had been a desperate refugee, willing to steal for her child's survival. Now she was part of a family again, the man who had shown her that not all the universe was cruel and cold. Marcus squeezed her hand as he set course for the Outer Rim territories, where they could disappear and start fresh. Somewhere in the distance, new adventures awaited them and, maybe if they were very lucky, a chance to build the kind of love that could last among the stars. The ship sailed on through the cosmic night, carrying three hearts that had found their way to each other across the vast loneliness of space, and in that small vessel, hope burned as bright as any sun.